Good evening and welcome to SanAntonio FC Fancast. My name is Harry. Joining me, Rafa. Where is Rafa tonight?
I'm in Waco, Texas.
Next up, Matt, representing the old school SanAntonio FC t-shirt.
Yeah.
After Houston Dynamo.
Bro, I can't do anything with Houston right now. After that whole incident, I can't do anything with them for a while.
You could have worn your Messi kit. We know you got one too. So.
Hell no.
And then what is Jonathan wearing in the bottom corner, at least on mine?
Wales tonight. Was talking to someone about Wales the other day, something regarding football. So, yeah, just figured I'd break out that jersey. Kind of surprised I've got this one.
How many kits do you have?
I have the yellow one.
It's at least like a dozen at this point. A lot of Europe and actually a decent number of South American. So, yeah.
I got AJ, the new Man City Peaches one, the multicolor. I guess it's their away kit this year with the collar.
Mm-hmm.
So I got him that. And then I got him Barca's kit because he likes Barcelona. So
you.
Yeah.
He needs to burn that jersey.
Heck man, spend money on that.
Where do we want to start, guys? Season's over, been over. I don't think we talked about the last loss. I don't know if there's really anything worth talking about the last loss. Just final comments on the last loss before we do get into the news where SanAntonio FC and Alan Marcina mutually parted ways on Halloween morning. We'll go with you, Matt, since you're one of the leaders in FTC down in the supporter section. Your thoughts just on the end of year?
It is what it is, what happened this year. I mean, there's nothing we can say that's good or bad. So, I mean, I didn't go to that last game. I was watching on my phone, and it looked pretty, I guess, horrendous.
I didn't go to the game either.
Yeah, so I mean, from what I saw, it looked great until the red card. But other than that, it is what it is. That's all I can say.
Yeah, sucks for Manly to have to go out with the red card. It was
Really
the right call. I hate saying that, but it was the right call. I know the fans booed the referee, but he fouled him. He was last man. If you're going to call the foul, it's a red card. But Rafa, your thoughts on the end of season?
It was about time to put the old horse out to pasture, and
they did.
I mean, for the season, that's what the season entitled. I mean, what can you say? I'm sure we're going to discuss a lot of that, but yeah, it was time to put old Yeller to sleep now. So that's what it felt like that last game when that final whistle hit.
And Jonathan, from a media aspect, any final thoughts? I know it's been a couple of weeks since the season ended. Anything from your perspective about how the year ended?
I guess from a media perspective, particularly with Alan Marcina, he came into the post-game interviews with a little piece of paper. I'm not entirely sure what was on it. We didn't necessarily get a good look at it. I don't know if he didn't really look at it during the interview, so I don't know what exactly that was about. But it was definitely a sense that like he was kind of drained from this season. Obviously, did not go the way he would have liked it to, and the way he spoke, it sounded like he was somewhat hopeful that he would get a chance to make things right in 2025. As we now know, that's not going to be the case. But I wonder if maybe he was just kind of didn't want to make it obvious that he was out. Maybe he already knew, or maybe he thought there was still a chance. But we know how it panned out. As far as the game itself, losing 4-1 at home to Detroit City in the last match, perfect encapsulation of the season, I'd say. Not really able to put things together offensively, sort of disorganized and allowing 4 goals on defense. The first time SAFC has ever allowed 4 goals at home. That's not great. Kind of like Rafa said, and something that I've said for at least a few weeks, if not a month or two before the end of the season, is the sooner it ends, the better. So now, especially when you have a change of head coach, you really get a chance to turn the page. 2025 is going to be a very clean start. I mean, there are only, to our knowledge, 2 players that are under contract, and that's not even a guarantee that we'll see them again. They could get loaned out, they could get transferred, who knows? So probably going to have the most. Well, we did have a fair amount of change last offseason, but
we only had 5 returnees from last year.
Exactly.
I think you'll see. I think we'll have, and we'll kind of go into this. Royce was hoping to be on tonight, but unfortunately got stuck at work. I had an incident last night that we were going to try to do it. Unfortunately, just weren't able to do it. So we're going to try. We're actually getting kind of in the habit of every 2 weeks, pretty close to that, having a show for that. And that might be the off-season schedule. It's getting pretty close.
I think it's been at least 3 or 4 weeks because we talked before. It was before the last match. So it's. I mean, you figure that would have been about 3 weeks at least. And as we know, there has not been consistency of any shape or form since probably April
23rd. I guess about 3 weeks then.
Yeah.
And the other one was the 9th, 23rd, September 29th, 9th, 23rd. So we're bouncing between 2 to 2.5 weeks. So we're being kind of consistent when it comes to that. So, but I know me and Rafa, because Rafa's already been out to a high school game, got to get together for the soccer season because that's starting to warm up very, very quickly for that here. And maybe we can recruit Matt to hop on as well with and help cover some of the South Side stuff since I know Matt. But circling back to SAFC before I get sidetracked here by Jonathan. 5 seasons, 81, 42, and 42. Had SAFC in the playoffs in each of his 4 seasons. Western Conference Finals, lost to Orange County on PKs, won it in 22, and I don't think there is any dispute to this. SanAntonio FC still claims the best overall season for a USL championship in the current model, from being, the top 4 in points for the season, and the only one to be able to complete the title as well, because Lou City lost this year, Phoenix Rising lost to Real Monarchs, and I think Tampa lost in their year. I think they were one of the years that they had that they were not able to complete it for that here as well. So as far as from start to finish, SAFC 2022 still has to be the best season, in my opinion, for that here. Going out for Coach Marcina, it says, I'm incredibly proud of what we accomplished together at SAFC. Together, we have transformed the club into one of the most successful teams in the Western Conference, setting a new standard for excellence and achieving milestones that included a USL Championship title in 2022. He would like to thank all the players, past and present, staff, and fans for their commitment and support during my tenure. It's been my privilege to lead this club. I look forward to my next chapter and will always be cheering for SAFC's continued success. One thing that is not mentioned, but that was SanAntonio's second title under Coach Marcina. So to me, for San Antonio soccer, or even for the San Antonio Sports Hall of Fame, at some point he does have to go into that, into one of those classes, because as far as for San Antonio, Marcina has been great, in his 2 stops here. However, in my opinion, it was time to go. And, I know you can argue this left or right, who's at fault, who wasn't at fault. I personally think, that the team needed a move. And we're going to see that. So Rafa, or we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Matt, then Rafa, and then Jonathan. Your thoughts on Coach Marcina leaving, and how that impacts you.
I mean, you said it yourself. He brought 2 trophies to San Antonio. So, I mean, it did feel like it was the right move, but at the same time, your passionate side of being diehard San Antonio is like, well, he brought us a trophy. Can you do it again? So it's like you're 50-50 on it. But I mean, he did what he could this past year, and I mean, I agree with you. He has to be somewhere in that Hall of Fame of the soccer side of San Antonio. So I wish him luck out there. I mean, when I handed him a scarf before the second to last game, I told him, look, I don't know your future, but I want you to have this, and he seemed very grateful that we reached out. So we'll see how it goes for his next chapter.
Rafa?
I think, his period here, I mean, he did what he had to do. I mean, you can't take away what he accomplished, having an NASL title and USL title. I mean, I think he might be the only coach that's ever done that. So I'm sure he's going to end up in like that San Antonio Sports Hall of Fame. I mean, he'd make you got to consider him for what he's done. And as far as overall, I think it was time. I think sometimes things go in phases. Sometimes that formula works, and then I think it ran its course, and I'm sure now he's up for a new challenge, and I'm sure we probably have an idea where, but now it's like I said, it's a clean slate for us, and someone's gonna have to deliver, and but like I said, just kudos to like I said, to Marcina, from what he's did, but now it's, like I mentioned, it's a clean slate. Now the ball's in somebody's court. Now the pressure's on that person, and he needs to deliver.
So, Jonathan, you're next, but I just want to give you a little warning, because we know your mom was very supportive of Marcina. So just be careful. Don't want you to get kicked out of the house.
I'll try to be diplomatic and nice and all that. I think it's right to talk about the successes Marcina had, because overall you do look back on this tenure as a positive. Like you said, getting to a Western Conference final, obviously winning just about everything except for the Open Cup in 2022. That on its own makes it a great tenure, because one team out of what are we at now? 24 is going to win the league every year. And it keeps bouncing back and forth between teams. No one except for Louisville in the last sort of decade has won it consecutive years, or even multiple times, if I'm not mistaken. So just getting that title is something to cherish. And even outside of that, the growth into 2022 was going on in 2020 and 21, and 23 you started to see some of the cracks, but it was still kind of decent. You still had Tony Oluwaseyi lighting up the league, and he's one that now, especially over this last year, we've been able to look at and say we've kind of helped his development. So I think it is fair to look back on this era fondly, but like I said, the cracks started to appear last year, and this year they really got opened up, and SAFC just had continued to fall, and nothing was going right. I thought it was maybe about 50-50 that he would come back. But obviously ending on that 4-1 loss that we kind of touched on earlier is not the best case. And I almost wonder if this firing was more, I'm sorry, mutually parting ways. I almost wonder if it was more a case of Ferruzzi just saying, look, we're not on the same wavelength. You may be able to do better next season, but I just don't know that this is going to work in the long term, that we're going to find that chemistry together. So it might have been more of a case of just, I need to find someone that I work with better, rather than a case of, hey, you had a bad season, get out. So yeah, we'll cherish the memories, we'll cherish the fun times, and even some of the not so fun times that were still crazy and enjoyable and memorable, but a new era dawns.
So, and I was hoping to have Royce here to be able to kind of go over possible what's next, the new era. I think the hardest part for me is because Marco Ferruzzi, Mr. MIA on the milk carton, we have no idea what his philosophy is. It's just, I have no clue what he wants to do. I did reach out to Third Degree podcast up in FC Dallas. They gave us kind of some names that he works with, but they also kind of joked with maybe it'll be Marco himself that steps in to there. So that might be something to kind of see if he steps into the reins there. But hopefully we'll be able to. Well, hopefully they'll announce somebody soon. But go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm just gonna say, Ferruzzi, first of all, stepping down to be the head coach, that would be like a self-demotion.
Well, no, he would do both roles. He would do both roles.
But
it
then
would be just like RGV.
But then that leads into my next point, though, is if he's someone who kind of tries to work behind the scenes and doesn't like the limelight, I don't think he's going to want to be, interviewed and in a public eye at least once a week, sometimes 2, maybe even 3 times if there's like a midweek game. I don't know that he would be a big fan of that. So that's one of the, obviously from a footballing perspective, maybe it's a possibility, but just from, I guess, kind of an operational perspective, I don't know if I see that. I don't think that happens.
Yeah, I don't think it either. But that was their first response, was him. That was their first response, and then they gave a bunch of other possible candidates through FC Dallas farm tree that might be. But I have no clue what they're looking for. I have no clue what his style is. I have no clue because he hasn't said anything to outside of maybe to your parents. But from my understanding and speaking with Mike, really wasn't a whole lot said when they sat down with the people that sit in the fancy seats in the middle of the field with the soft cushions. So we'll kind of see. I do hope that. Oh, go ahead.
The only way you're going to tell what his play style is if you overlook 2019. That was his last year. So if you ever review FC Dallas in 2019, that's his style. And what I remembered it as, it was stagnant. It wasn't good. I didn't like it one bit. And that's not me being a Dynamo fan. That's me being a Texas soccer fan. It was so stagnant. The only thing that came out of those FC Dallas years was just winning your rivalry. Nothing more, nothing less.
But you would think, if he's considering the position, he would have pulled the trigger back in July and taken over the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see him as a head coach. I think when he's been a head coach is because they can the coach.
The interim, yeah.
Yeah, and so he was just riding the wave until they got somebody else. And, for someone that doesn't have any social media, as a head coach, you got got to put your face out there. You got to face the fans. You got to do that. He's not that. And, you know, he's never given an outline of what his goals are with this club. You know, a lot of people assume he was brought in to build up the youth academy.
That was me.
And we haven't really seen much of that. And we don't, you know, nothing's talked about that. So, you know, then you know, as SanAntonio FC as a whole, they're also gonna have to realize, you know, we need to find an identity, and he has to establish that. And if he's not going to establish that, we're in for a long season again in 2025. And you know, I think that's why everyone's kind of a little on edge on coming into 2025. We don't know what the heck's what's gonna happen.
There's no transparency, and it's, to me, it's even worse than normal, you know, because we're used to not having a lot of information, but at least with Holt, you kind of knew what the direction was. You know, he at least said, hey, we're looking for X, Y, and Z. Now, did they always deliver on X, Y, and Z? No. With Marcina, you kind of knew, hey, this is what he likes to do. With Marco, nobody has any clue, because he won't share, he won't communicate. And no offense to SanAntonio FC, and you know, I've heard rumors that season ticket renewals are down and people aren't as excited. This is part of the reason, you know, that what's there to be excited for SanAntonio FC right now? They got rid of Marcina, which I think some of us, you know, agree, some of us disagree. But there's just, you know, as Rafa mentioned, there's no identity, there's no direction, and that's part of the reason why you hear the rumors about SanAntonio FC possibly folding or relocating or being sold, or, you know, along those lines, is because there's nothing coming out from SanAntonio FC, and if nothing's coming out, people will make stuff up, and then if people make stuff up, it gets shared, and then, you know, it gets spread around the league, and then, you know, I got reached at least 10 times about, hey, is SanAntonio folding? Is SanAntonio? And I'm like, no, it's not through there. But go ahead, Matt.
But if you think about it, his quietness is what SSE is. Being non-transparent. That's how I see SSE. They're barely. I mean,
to a certain point.
But
because, like I said, you look at Marcina, he still talked to the media. He still had some engagement. Same thing with Peter Holt. They didn't. They kept some things on wraps, but you know, like the whole thing with Jordan Farr getting benched and all that still hasn't been seen the light of day. But I understand that that's player stuff. But you know, he still talked to. He talked about the players. You know, yeah, we're not playing well. We're not doing that. That's just keep it in general. That's what you know, as fans, you want to hear. At least say, hey, okay, at least he's addressing some of this. This is coming out. You can't remain totally silent. You know, I've been an academy director. You have to address, when there's an issue, you have to address it to the parents. Or like, you know, when I did it, you got to address it to the fans. You have to show them, okay, this is your vision. This is the game plan. This is what we're going to do. You can't be disappearing like Dracula and stuff and come out whenever you want. He has to. If you want to get the fans on, like I said, on board, or at least give them a concept of what you're hoping to do and what you're going to try to do. Not keep everything. At least keep it in general. You don't have to go into details, but at least give a kind of a blueprint of it.
Yeah, but at the same time, when some of the answers come off robotic, that's where it's like, there's just, that's the one thing I don't know who I told either one of the reps or someone, if you had more of a human personality in all these videos they put and everything, if it was more personality in it, heck yeah, I'd be engaged. I'd be excited to do something. But when it looks staged and robotic, like some of the interviews I've seen, it looks staged. That it just feels. I mean, that's just my feel. I don't know how it was for Jonathan, but to me, some of those things were just staged. It doesn't. It feels like typical SSE. That's just me though.
So I think Rafa said something really interesting in his explanation. There were 4 key words in there that I want to go back to. When there's an issue or when there's a problem, something along those lines. And that's the trick is I think we're so used to with SAFC, things are going at least decently, usually better than average. And so there's not really a need for someone like Ferrucci to come out and explain, well, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to be doing to address it. And so then when you finally, and I had said it, SAFC was bound to have a down year like this eventually. It happens to pretty much everyone. When you have that year, SAFC wasn't really sure how to handle it, didn't have that in place, and obviously Ferrucci's not going to come out and address it. And you heard kind of some of the same perhaps misguided positivity from within SAFC. Oh, the camaraderie is so good, and we're working hard, and we're going to figure things out. And it just I don't know that SAFC knew how to deal with a difficult season because it had been so long. Even I
They've
I don't
never had to
know
deal with
if-
this situation like last year. Even
Yeah,
going
and-
under Coach Powell, they were always there. Now they didn't have as high of expectations, but they were always right around that mid-pack, that playoff line. Where we win this game or we're within a couple of games. And I guess you could kind of say the same for SanAntonio this year. This was second to the last match before they were technically eliminated. But you never got the feeling this team was making the playoffs, during the final month. Where I think with the others, you kind of had that feeling, because it used to be under Coach Powell, it used to be the road. If they went on the road, they struggled. At home, they typically, because they defended, they held possession, they did enough to eke out at home. And I can't remember, and this goes back to the Scorpions, a team having this bad of luck, because the players were giving effort, out of a 90-minute match, you'd probably, outside of the Detroit one, you'd probably see about 75, 80 minutes where, hey, it was good to great, but it was that 10, 15 minutes where lack of confidence, lots of concentration, just, whatever, just fell apart. But final thoughts on this, because I do want to, keep this under an hour, and we do want to talk a little bit about Mark Briggs, Sacramento, our, everybody's favorite goalkeeper, Jordan Farr, and then the playoffs here for that here. But your final thoughts. So we'll start with you, Jonathan, since you're not on mute. What do you have? I guess for you, and I know you don't have any inside information, or you haven't teased us any inside information. When do you expect SanAntonio FC to announce a new coach, if you were to kind of take a guess?
So if I had to guess, I would probably be going with kind of the timeline that we had 5 years ago now when Alan Marcina was appointed. They got rid of Powell, I think, pretty quickly after the end of that 2019 season. And they said they were doing a search, considering all kinds of candidates. In the end, they landed on Marcina, who obviously had already been with the team for about a year and a half at that point, I believe. Started in the academy and then moved up to assistant coach in 2019. And some people kind of speculated at the time, they're already lining up Powell's replacement. Yeah, Harry. So I don't know if there's necessarily anyone who is as well suited to making that jump this time, though. I don't know if there's anyone who fits the bill quite as well. Namely, just because obviously Ferrucci came in, and we don't know if he maybe has a better relationship with Dario Pot, or I can't even really think of any of the other assistant coaches. Like, technically Juan La Madrid is, but he's more of a goalkeeping coach. I wouldn't expect him to be taking over as a head coach anytime soon. So I don't know if you have a candidate like that again. But I guess I don't even expect to really hear any news about it until SAFC says, hey, we've got our person. And I don't even know if I'll get any sort of advance notice. It might just be, hey, we're going to announce him on a Thursday. Media, you want to come in on a Friday and talk to him. So I don't know who all, well, we might get into it, but there are some candidates available. We'll see who ends up getting it. And I think it'll just be nice to have a change of pace, a change of maybe culture, because personally, and this is nothing against Marcina or the players or anything, but it felt like it was just getting a bit of stale from my perspective. So,
Matt, question to you. Your thoughts on when somebody will be named, and do you have somebody that you would like to see?
I mean, me personally, I'm not good on knowing all these coaches, so that answer won't get answered out of me. But I'll be hope December, because you have January and February coming up, and then if the season starts in March, you need plenty of time for those players to get to know each other this year. Because if they don't get to know each other this year, I feel like it's going to be the same thing coming up just like this year. Now, whether it be someone from within or someone without, I mean, we're not going to know. And sure, hopefully Johnson will know before us. But like I said, it's a big coin toss of when it will happen. But like I said, for me, I would hopefully prefer December. December would be a great time. So that you can figure everyone out. You can figure all the players that you want. Shit, even right after playoffs is done, or after the championship. I would say the sooner the better is the best answer. Sooner the better. That way we can figure out what players you want, what players you don't want. As for everything else, I mean, let's just see what happens. Supposedly there's supposed to be some meetings coming up in November for some of us, and we're just waiting to see when those meetings will happen.
Rafa, I have kind of two questions. One, the very similar, hey, when do you kind of expect? And then one, PC has been rumored, or been, not rumored, I guess, discussed by some members of the fan base. Is that realistic? I'm just trying to squash it. I'm not lying to you.
So, I think question. Well, I think they find somebody right after the championship. I think you need to do it right away. Now, who's to say they're not already in talks with that person already, or they're already interviewing? That's a possibility. But it needs to be done, like Matt said, kind of before December, or on the couple of days that first week of December, because you got to start building a roster quick. The biggest mistake we made last year is letting all the good players get signed. We need to jump on that right away. But also, it says who we get as far as they fit the system. My thing also too is, are we going to have a brand new staff? Are they going to clean house? From top to bottom, and with the first team, are we going to let go some people? The second part with PC, I don't think he's ready yet. Now, it would have shocked me, maybe he ends up being an assistant coach on the staff, to get to kind of learn the ropes and all that. That I wouldn't put past him, because I think most of the coaches there on that staff also coach the academy players. So I can see him maybe as like a second assistant, third assistant. I can envision that, but as far as a head coach, not yet. Who knows? Maybe in the near future you'll probably see him. I don't know, with us or someone, but I think he ends up being probably the first team staff, just to kind of get the ropes in and so forth.
So as we discussed, probably the big shock in news: Mark Briggs mutually parted ways with Sacramento after 5 seasons. Both him and Marcina came in. Nicholas Murray had a good article on the two of them. Also on Sacramento, the the city of Sacramento is clearing the path to build Republic FC Stadium, and Wilton Rancher area joins the organization as a majority owner. So a tribal nation becomes the first majority owners of a professional soccer team, or professional sports team in general. For that here, so that's really great news. And then, of course, for Sacramento to finally get their stadium built. Current chairman and CEO Kevin Nagel, who got into it with the fans recently in Sacramento, will be staying on as one of the managing partners for that here. So, Jonathan, your thoughts on Briggs being left out, and could you see SanAntonio going and getting him?
So first of all, I can kind of understand them wanting to get rid of Briggs as well, because you look at last year, Sacramento had a really solid team, finished first in the West, I think possibly best overall record last year, and didn't pan out in the playoffs. This year, Sacramento started decently, was kind of up there with New Mexico, and then ultimately sort of fell off by the end of the season, similar to SAFC, honestly. Similar to what SAFC did in 2023, I should say. Ended up not even hosting their first playoff game, get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And so you kind of think, well, you're not exactly performing up to the expectations. And even when you do have a solid season, you then stumble in the playoffs. And as we all know, that's what everyone kind of considers to count more. So I can understand him just not really having enough good grace left at Sacramento. And they say, you know what, we need to figure out someone who can get the job done, who can follow through with a solid season. As far as if he lands in SAFC, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously a good coach, and if you give him the right resources, he could do a good job. I don't know if he necessarily fits SanAntonio, though. And I also know that kind of like if SAFC had kept Marcina next year, and you'd have some fans that are kind of questioning that may not want to come back until either he shows improvement or he leaves and they get a new coach in. Well, similar to that, I know there are some people who do not like Mark Briggs in SanAntonio, do not like the Republic in general, but sort of Briggs is the vanguard of that. He is sort of the face that they attach to that distaste or hatred. So I think it would be a little difficult for him to come here. He would have some sort of discontent among the fan base at the start. Obviously, if he gets the right results, things get smoothed over, and I don't know how effective this would be, but obviously if he comes to SanAntonio, he says, oh, great fan base, great facilities, great club, blah 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 blah. All the cliches that coaches would love to say. We have the best fans in the league. Said
he's one of us.
24 coaches around the league. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how many people would buy into that, but he would say it, and it might get some people on board with him. Who knows? But it's hard to see that move working, I think. But that's just my speculation.
So Matt, Mr. Dynamo, there is was it Juan Guerra? I believe that was with Phoenix Rising, won a title, and then moved over to become the Dynamo assistant coach. Dynamo assistant coaches tend to leave fairly quickly, at least the last couple. Your thoughts on maybe Juan Guerra possibly coming over?
I wouldn't be mad at it. I honestly wouldn't be mad at it at all. He did great with Phoenix. But at the same time, and it sounds kind of disgusting, I wouldn't mind Briggs coming. I honestly wouldn't. I mean, even if he does have that California attachment to him, and I know how a lot of people feel about that, I wouldn't mind it. As long as the coaches fit the team, as long as he fits the system, as long as he's not FC Dallas, I am fine with it. Yeah, I'd be okay with either or. Garrett's been doing an amazing job out there with the Dynamo, from what I've seen and what I've heard from some of the podcasts out there. And then also like I said, Briggs, he did great. Maybe if he comes here and he ups his level a little bit, maybe can do good here. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But for either or, I wouldn't be mad at either or.
So, my question for the coach, Rafa, do you want somebody that comes in, maybe a top League One coach that's done very well, or do you want an experienced USL Championship coach, or do you want somebody that maybe has some MLS experience, like Gio Severici, somebody along those lines that may have fell out of favor in MLS for that here? If you were to kind of pick, and I know it's kind of hard since we don't know what Marco is really wanting to do or how he's wanting to drive the bus, but as a coach for you, what would you like?
I know with Briggs, one thing about him, remember last year, what compliment did Sacramento get a lot last year? Defense. And I think he can fix a lot of that. Because we did have a lot of defensive miscues that did cost us a lot of games. Is he able to fix a lot of that? I know that wasn't all the problem, but if one thing we're known for, and SAFC has been known for winning those close 1-0, 2-1 games. This year that didn't happen. So if you bring him in, maybe he fixes that. I think on the flip side is offense. We didn't score a bunch of goals like we did the last few years. And the reason why is because we didn't have any good forwards. No disrespect to Royce's favorite player, but I mean, that's an area that we need to get younger and faster. And you need to find a coach that maybe is offensive minded. That, if you look at some of the teams of USL, maybe an assistant from Louisville, or maybe, like I said, Johannes Arresi would be a good choice. That's if he wants to come. A long shot, I don't know, is, maybe do you look south? Do you go to La Liga MX and find Piojo Herrera is a free agent, and I've heard rumors maybe coming to the United States. I doubt it'll be a SanAntonio, but crazy things can happen. Here's the thing. Remember, we went going back to this situation is, we all wanted to make a splash after Paul left, and we didn't get that splash head coach, which we could have had, but we ended up with Marcina. Do you think now this opportunity, do you make that splash and get that name that's going to bring back some of the fans, but also is going to help rebuild this and be a contender again? It's going to be, there's going to be some decisions made, and I think everything's going to be pulled into who's going to be the right person that's going to fix everything as a whole.
The next topic, and you can thank Matt for this. DC United begins rebuilding its goalkeeper corps by acquiring Jordan Farr. I'm not even sure Jordan Farr made it home from Charleston before this was announced. What I did find interesting is that DC United would pay a transfer fee to the Rowdies should Farr meet performance thresholds for that here. So I would have thought he would have got a shot after the 2022 season and the hell of a year that he had. Last year, I thought he had a good year, and then there was the Marsman situation. This year with Tampa, performed well. So well-deserved by everybody's favorite goalkeeper, Jordan Farr. We'll start with you, Matt, since you asked the question. Was this on Did SAFC make a mistake?
That's a good question. And I even questioned it myself. Did we fumble the ball? Like, did we actually fumble the ball on this one? Because I get it. Your intentions if we're going back to the subject, I get the intention of what you did with Marsman. But look what happened after. I mean, Yes, there's that. There's all these talks that we had back then. Should it have been Marsman? Should it have been Fard? Like, well, then the world will never know the true answer of what it should have been. Because you had an elite goalie, and then you had the fan favorite who also did good as well. So, I mean, it's good that he's finally getting the calling. I personally think it should have been at the end of the 2022 year, which would have been more, I think, a little more sense. But whether it be nobody was looking at him until he came to the Rowdies, I personally feel like there was more. He got more looked at just because he was in Florida. Not a lot of people are looking at San Antonio to pick for MLS. We bring the MLS loan, but I don't think a lot of people are picking out of here for MLS. The only lucky one that got out was Sebastian Ibaga, if you really want to think about it. But other than that, I think it was just finally the needle in the haystack that they just decided to pick him out.
Well, kind of correction on that. Ethan Bryant has got a shot. And let's not forget Leo Torres had the shot with Real Salt Lake / Real Monarchs. Now, he did not pan out at all. Ethan Bryant was just released from Sporting Kansas City 2 this past week here. Never made it. I don't think he actually made a spot on the senior team, but he's had a couple of cups of coffee with the MLS sides as well. So, but yeah, it's been a while since we've had any fan favorites here. Jonathan's itching to go, I can tell.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm just thinking, like, you're mentioning Bryant, you're mentioning Torres. I don't know if those quite count the same, because you can bring in all kinds of young players that you think maybe have the potential to move up to the first team one day, but it's unless they actually make it there, unless it's to borrow from another of the Texas teams, unless it's a case of like Diego Luna. I don't think they really count if they're not breaking into that first team. If they're stuck in the MLS Next Pro team, in the reserves and the youth teams, it's not quite the same for me.
Just a hater, man. Just a hater.
Now, interestingly, though, I also, regarding the Far thing, you were saying, you don't even know if he had gotten on the plane or whatever with Tampa Bay. I actually looked because I had the same kind of thought. Like, the timing on that is like really weird. So last night, when Tampa Bay got eliminated, they lost their playoff match. Tampa Bay did a final score tweet at, I want to say, 8:12. And Charleston's from that same match, they were the victor. They were the one that beat Tampa Bay. They did theirs at 8:09. So you figure around, a little after 8 p.m. was when they got eliminated. On Blue Sky, Stephen Goff of the Washington Post also covers, some DC United stuff because he's in the area. When he tweeted about Far, when that story went out on social media on Blue Sky? 8:06. So it's entirely possible that this story and that tweet were put out while Jordan was literally still playing for Tampa Bay. How is that for weird timing?
Here,
okay.
Check this out. This is proof. This is Washington Post where I'm here. 7:00 Eastern Standard Time is when this story was released.
Oof. So that would even then be 6 p.m. for us. So that's a couple hours even before that. Yeah.
So it was announced pretty much during the game.
Yeah, pretty much at the start of the game then. So that's really weird. And I can only imagine what may have been going through people's heads if they had seen that and then they're watching Jordan playing in that match. Like, what the hell? We know he's not even going to be around next year. This feels kind of strange. And that maybe brings some doubt into your minds. Is he going to be thinking about that already? I'm sure he'll say he's professional and all that. He's focused on the game right in front of him, but still,
he played
brings
well.
Up that question. Yeah, he did. And I mean, I'm not even going to get into how he did with Tampa Bay this year and all that, but I think, I don't know, if no one from MLS was really sniffing around him after 2022, like, obviously, if no one was ready to make this kind of move back then, SAFC wouldn't have had that opportunity even. I think it was obviously smart to keep him around for 2023. I don't know if I've ever said it before, but I think the lack of a solid sort of other senior goalkeeper to kind of keep him on his toes, I think that really hurt him last year, and it showed. So they bring Marsman in, but they did it way too late in the season for it to matter, in my opinion. You maybe could have done that halfway through the year and it would have worked out better. They could have pushed each other, and one of them ends up taking that top spot going into the end of the season. Maybe things turn out differently. Maybe SAFC makes a deeper run in the playoffs. Who knows? It's all hypothetical. We'll never know. But it does look kind of unfortunate for SAFC that you transfer Jordan Farr, and literally not even a year later, after another solid season with another one of the USL's perennial contenders, one of the better teams that has higher expectations, Tampa Bay, they're now selling him on. So that doesn't exactly look great. But for what it's worth, maybe this was also a decision that kind of just happened because you had a change in the leadership structure last year with Ferrucci. I don't even know if he was in yet by the time Jordan got sold.
I think it was, but I think the issue is the damage was already done. Rafa, your thoughts on Jordan Farr, and as a goalkeeper, your thoughts of his talents in MLS? To me, I think he'll be a backup, but at least that's my impression. I hope he contends for the here, but he's not Dane St. Clair. He's not at that level, in my opinion. He's a quality goalkeeper, don't get me wrong, but your thoughts?
I mean, congrats to him. I'm sure that was a goal for him to get to MLS, and you kind of saw what DC United did. They got rid of all four of their goalkeepers. So I think maybe also it'll be a humbling experience because he knows he has to compete. He's gonna have to earn his spot, and maybe this will bring maybe the best out of him. And being a backup, maybe it'll ignite a little fire in him and get hungry. And I'm sure we'll see him maybe playing a couple of cup games, the U.S. Open Cup. So I'm sure he'll be used that, or some games that they'll give rest to whoever because like I said in the article, it says they are going to find a number one keeper, and more likely is going to be someone that has MLS experience or international, or someone that's played maybe overseas or South America, whichever. But hopefully he can use that situation to learn from that. And who's to say, if there's ever an injury and he ends up taking over the number one spot, and he can hold on to kind of with the same situation here. He came here with SanAntonio when he was picked up as an emergency keeper, and he didn't really, out of that pretty much turned his, that showing he did, that run pretty much opened the door to this. Because if that, you can say that if the Beard doesn't get hurt, he might not have been picked up by DC United. So I think the stars aligned for him, and I think this is the payoff. Maybe it's a year not saying late, but it's a great opportunity to him. And hopefully he does succeed over there. And just, like I said, you gotta humble yourself, and you gotta stay hungry. And now he's going to be in that situation that he's not going to be the guy anymore like he was here in Tampa Bay. So he's going to have to step it up. But good luck to him.
Yeah, really quickly, I think it did really just create a real inflection point in his career, give his career a new lease on life. Because if I'm not mistaken, when he was at Indy before he joined SAFC, he, I think, was starting to consider retirement. And then SAFC brings him in as that emergency goalkeeper. He performs well for that playoff run. SAFC signs him, and all of a sudden, he gets a couple years here, a year at Tampa Bay. Now he makes the jump to MLS for, I believe, the first time in his career. Like, it could have gone so much more differently for him if Cardoni had stayed fit. But as we know, SAFC can never have the same goalkeeper for an entire year. It still never happened. So it worked out really well for Jordan, even if it's been a bit bumpier the last year or two.
So the final topic, the 2024 USL Championship, the bracket. We'll start out east. Louis City, got past the first round. Rhode Island got by Indy. I guess the big upset, and I don't even think it was an upset, two evenly teams. The Rowdies beat Detroit City. Charleston got by Pittsburgh. And then the upsets took place. Rhode Island knocked out Lou City at home. Wasn't even a close game. And so the expansion, Rhode Island are in the Eastern Conference Finals against Charleston, who making it back to the title game for the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight year. They won it last year, but lost to Rising in PKs in the final. Out west, New Mexico got by Phoenix. Vegas got by Sacramento. Orange County upset 901, but I don't even know if it was an upset because Orange County was playing some really good ball. Switchbacks took care of the Roots. The Lights got by New Mexico United. Close game. And then Switchbacks on a rescheduled because of snow on Saturday. So for us that want the winter calendar, Colorado just showed, hey, that might not be the smartest thing, but through there. So the Final Four, you got Vegas and Switchbacks. You got Rhode Island, Charleston. If Charleston wins, they host the finals. If Charleston loses, then the West, either the Lights or Switchback, host the finals for that here. So craziness. I think most everybody's hopping onto the Charleston bandwagon and Pedro. I'm not a Rhode Island fan. Too much San Diego for me. But we'll start with you, Matt. Your thoughts on the playoffs, and is there anybody that you're rooting for?
I mean, I would be pretty legit if Rhode Island won. That's just me. I'm not a fan of them. I don't know anything about them yet, but I mean, to come into the league and just win it all,
would be the first in Sacramento in 2014.
That'd be pretty big because when I was watching, I don't know I want to say it was the Tampa Bay game. All the announcers even said none of the number ones have made it through since pre or after 2022. Yeah. So nobody had the great season like we did. They won the supporters, they won the conference, and they won the championship. So it's pretty. I thought that was pretty amazing fact for San Antonio. We're the only ones who went through the gauntlet. But yeah, I would say Rhode Island. I would love to see it. It'd be a great story to come into the league and just win it all.
Rafa, your thoughts?
Wouldn't it be ironic if the finals in that baseball stadium in Las Vegas versus Rhode Island? Are they?
It's very possible because Rhode Island is on a roll and Vegas is on a roll. It is a very possible final.
I mean, are you going to get the little inflatable pools be poolside for the final and stuff, and they get to celebrate with the players?
They got you got to give it to Bautista. He's changed the lights around, so to give credit to them.
Yeah, I think if there's any executive or whatever, I mean, you got to give it to them. I think they'll probably be one of the team of the year as far as to turn things around. It's going to be tough in Colorado. I know the weather's kind of changed. But I have a feeling, I think Las Vegas is, like I said, to go on the road. I was never very confident in New Mexico. I just didn't think they had that it factor to get to the final. I think they had a good season. But I think because of the lack of playoff experience, it was going to catch up to them. And like I said, I don't think it was Phoenix was going to do it, but I think it was going to eventually catch up to them. What can you say about Rhode Island?
They lost to Las Vegas, man. Las Vegas has less playoff experience than New Mexico. But
the thing is, I think you can tell they just didn't finish well at the end.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that's a big thing there. Rhode Island, on the other hand, like I said, they're peaking at the right time. But if you look at Charleston, kind of the same thing too. They're peaking at the right time. They got their goal scorer. He's lining it up. Now, are they going to learn from the mistakes they made last year and finish teams off? Is this a redemption for Charleston? Because Charleston basically choked in that final.
Yep.
They should have won. They should have beaten Phoenix. They had it won, but they choked. Is this now okay? We learn from that. And I don't think they're going to take Rhode Island lightly. I think I could see this game go to overtime. It's going to be a shootout between these two teams. Flip side of the West, I think it'll be close. I think maybe a 2-1 game. I'm pulling for Vegas. I don't know, no disrespect to Colorado, but the Switchback fans, some of the biggest whiners. I know they still whining from 2 years ago, seeing on that USL page. I'm like, stop crying. So I can see, like I said, it'll be, I think, a Las Vegas Charleston final. I think I can see that. But it'd be interesting to see Las Vegas and Rhode Island. That'd be, whoever's made the bets on the Las Vegas is going to make a lot of money there.
From a media perspective, having the final in Vegas would definitely be something that I think the USL headquarters wouldn't frown on. But, I know if I had the money and I had the time off going to Vegas, that would be kind of fun.
Is it this week or next week is the Vegas Grand Prix, though? Because remember,
that's true.
Yeah, because if F1 is I think it's I want to say it's next week.
But the game will be on a Sunday anyways.
The Grand Prix is on a Sunday too.
Yeah, but this is set. It's a Sunday evening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's at Sunday at midnight.
Oh no,
November
it's Saturday
24th.
at midnight.
Yeah, maybe it's Saturday night, midnight into Sunday. I don't know, but yeah, it shows Sunday, November 24th, 12 a.m. So midnight, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, at least I give the Raider fans something to cheer about.
Jonathan, your thoughts on the playoffs? Sorry, I'm looking when the finals is, because I don't think the finals is till, I want to say the first week in December.
What, the USL final?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, it should be like weekend after this next one. Anyway, yeah, I first of all, just looking at the brackets, and I know USL, as they do every year, did like a little challenge to see who could predict it right. And I know particularly after New Mexico and Louisville got knocked out, there were some questions of, I wonder if anyone still has a correct bracket. I think I saw earlier today, 4 people are still in it. 4 still have a perfect bracket so far, which is interesting. Like it's a bold move to say, okay, these number 1 teams are going to advance from their first round, but then lose in the next one. But 4 people have figured it out right so far. We'll see how it turns out. Rhode Island would obviously be a great story in their first season to go on this run at the end of the season and win it all. Charleston obviously would love to finish what they started last year. I'm sure they've been kicking themselves for about a year now at missing that opportunity. Colorado Springs, I mean, this is the now second time in 3 years they've made it to the Western Conference Final. They're not exactly one of the perennial powerhouses of the USL, but they tend to put out a decent, fairly good team. And I mean, while you guys say they're whiners, there are some. I know we're always keen to go to Colorado Springs. It's a friendly group that welcomes us up there, their supporters and all that. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them win it all just for the sake of them, for the sake of the Trailheads and all them having something to really celebrate about. And Vegas, I think it would just be really cool for them to win in their first season as a actual competent club that's not just a giant PR stunt.
And you are correct. The final would be the 23rd, and it is aired on CBS, the big CBS. So, yeah, the price of tickets, if that's the F1 weekend, right? So that would be That would be a little challenging.
Yeah, for hotel rooms and stuff, that would not be ideal. But when you're USL, you can't really plan for that. You didn't realize that was a possibility.
Yeah.
I have Colorado hosts, so they play in the snow.
Yeah,
probably. That's another thing too. Is like they changed the time of their match. They changed the day of their match this past weekend. For the final, like it has a TV slot on CBS. Yeah, you cannot.
You're not changing it.
And also, I think the match is supposed to be at like noon Eastern time or something like that. So
still TBD, but yeah.
Someone was saying it was penciled in for a midday game. So if it's out west, if it's in Colorado or Vegas, like that's gonna be really early, and particularly for Colorado Springs. Are you even going to have time in the morning to clear out some of the snow? And, is there still going to be snow falling on the field as the game's going on? Who knows? It could be a real spectacle. We could have maybe not quite like the Snow Classico that the U.S. and Costa Rica played that one time, but we might see sort of something akin to that, something, that gives off those vibes at the USL level.
Yeah, you're right. And because the 23rd is a Sunday?
Should be a Saturday because the 24th is a Sunday.
Yeah, 23rd.
It's Saturday.
The final on the 23rd, and then that F1 Grand Prix is at midnight as it turns into 24th.
That
will be very challenging because with CBS.
Okay, actually, I want Vegas to win because I want to see this havoc.
Oh, dude, that would. Matt would be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go.
You're over, bought your tickets for F1. You're like, oh, but Vegas is playing too. I'm gonna go watch it."
Dude, USL would market the heck out of that. For me, like I said here, Charleston's one of those historically great teams. It'd be kind of cool for them to see it, especially after they, like Rafa mentioned, kind of blew it last year. To be able to finish the job this year. Marcevic is leaving this year to go overseas. The Golden Boot winner. Aaron Malloy, I don't know if you saw the second goal that he did was a hell of a banger off of free kick. Just one of the greats in midfielder. So with Charleston, if they don't do it, I grew up in Colorado. So I do have a soft spot for the Switchbacks. It would be kind of awesome to see, the fans of Colorado Springs, Annie, one of the queens of USL, like with Jenny Check, just for her to be able to kind of host and like I said, it would be kind of awesome to, I won't lie, it'd be kind of awesome to see a final at Widener Field. Yeah, I think it's the Widener Field. They'd put on a good show. They'd have people there that would get up and clean the stadium, get the snow off. So we're a little bit over an hour. Want to talk any European football? Rafa, Jonathan, you guys want to talk about your Champions Leagues adventures?
Hey, we have too many players in the infirmary right now. We just lost Militao. He's out for 9 months.
I just love how he throws the dig out of
because Harry has room to talk.
At least me and Jonathan, at least we have Champions League finals. We have titles, so we can
exactly
and league titles. So
that's the thing. Harry just, like I say, he likes to talk crap.
Isn't Newcastle in the top 10?
He really has. Oh wow, they're in the top half of the league. Incredible.
Hey, what's crazy if you look at the EPL standings? No, they are not.
Why are you coming for me? I'm not digging at you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, where is United? Supposedly they're bringing in a new coach. They're bringing in a new coach.
I think they made a mistake. I think they should have kept Van Nistelrooy. I think he's really lifted that team. And I think they should have waited. They should have waited to at least to the end of this year, and maybe make the switch in January. Because if I've watched a couple of their games. They're playing a lot. I think they're a little more inspired. I'm not saying he's like Zidane-like, but at least he understands because he's been in that culture. He understands what it is to wear that badge, and I think he's injected that to them. This is going to be a little bit different because you're bringing in someone from Sporting that, from the Portuguese league. Not saying they're not a good team, but they don't have anything they can relate to. I think they pulled the trigger a little too early. They should have kept him and then see what happens. And if it doesn't go through after Boxing Day, then go make your switch. But
you know what? Now you got me thinking. I want to know where they're at.
Van Nistelrooy is going to land somewhere. I mean, he may end up at Roma because Roma's a clusterfuck right now.
Well,
they're on their fourth coach.
He's not being retained, right? From my understanding today, when the new Sporting guy comes in, or the new coach from Sporting comes in, he's being let go. So
I was right. It was 13.
Yeah. If I'm Roma, I'm on the phone right now trying to bring him in because, it's like I said, they're in a mess right now. But I'm surprised. I was a little surprised. Maybe I would, if I was Man United, I would have ride it out with him to the end of the year and then see what happens.
Since we're talking all free for all,
at least you're not Tottenham.
Yeah. But since we're talking free for all, I definitely believe Hector Herrera got blacklisted. I solely believed he got blacklisted after doing what he did.
You can't spit at a referee.
Well, no, I agree with it. I wasn't going to go batting for him if people were going to start talking about it. He did what he did. As being a captain at that, you should have had your head cool. I get it that ref was horrible, made some horrible calls, but come on, man. That was not, especially if you're out with Carrasquilla. Nah, it wasn't worth it. It so wasn't worth it, and you had time to actually at least get it even. But yeah, man.
You think he got blacklisted?
Oh, heck yeah.
He's gonna get signed somewhere. If you don't get signed on the list,
okay. Let me rephrase that. He got blacklisted in MLS.
I think San Diego may. I doubt it.
No.
I mean, if they want to get banned, I think he ends up going back to Liga MX. I think he ends up playing with a team like Leon or maybe Mazatlán or one of those mid-table teams.
Would you take him at SanAntonio?
Yeah. 100%, yes.
Hey, we need someone with balls.
That's like
in the midfield.
That's like a guy who played for Mexico, who played for the Dynamo, who plays for SAFC.
Hey, I'd be okay with it.
Picture on the wall now.
But the funny thing was, there was a whole talk about him pairing up with another player from Atletico in Houston, but. No, not anymore. Not gonna happen now.
I'm surprised Houston didn't pick up his option, but I do think his age, because he's 34. Believe he's around there. He wasn't as productive or influential, I guess is the better word, this year compared to last year.
No, he was 100% influential, is what they were saying.
I didn't think he was as good, but
okay, as good I could say, but he still had a lot of influence on that team.
But no, to me, like I said here for that, but yeah, Newcastle setting in 8th at 18 points, 1 point out from 3rd, but the Premier League outside of Liverpool and Man City, dude, it's 4 points between 3rd and 13th. So you got 10 spots that's separated by 4 points. So there's a reason why the EPL is the best league right now, in my opinion, just with the depth. I know it's a little bit top heavy with Liverpool and Man City, but I think you're starting to see some cracks even with them two, where they're not, I know it's kind of hard to say with Liverpool having only 1 loss and 1 draw, but sit here. I think it'll be a hell of a race. And then, of course, at the bottom, Royce's Everton. Please die. Please die. Just please just go down. Save us.
Where's Chelsea?
Save everybody.
Get rid of my
third.
yellow.
Oh.
Chelsea's third.
Tottenham?
They're down at Man City at 10 at 16 points. But it's all jumbled. Or pardon me, Man United, not Man City. Sorry about that, Jonathan. For that here, but to me, just
So what do you think about the controversy with Inter Miami? Doherty talking to the refs and all that. You know, kind of blasting it. I mean, if you're gonna,
how did they not get a red card for pushing the goalie into the goal?
Yeah. You know, that's and then you stick him in the club World Cup. So,
well, that was all because of money, and MLS thought Miami was going to win the title. You know that they were banking on that, and for them to go out to number one to Atlanta United, who earned that game. Brad Guzman, who's older than me, had a hell of a match as goalkeeper for that here. So, here's my whole problem with MLS. What LAFC won
1-0
a week ago. They're off for 3 weeks. How I just don't understand how you set up the playoffs where it's already hit and miss. You play this stupid
it's just
three match.
I sent it to Rafa today. Jordi Alba was complaining. Why isn't it just the number one of the West versus the number one of the East?
No, they need to have the way they need to have is like what they do in Liga MX. It's a home and away. That's it. That's what they need to do. That's they don't need no 3-game series. This isn't baseball.
Well, this is the only round that they do it, and the whole reason why they do it is for
stupid.
More Apple TV, more games on Apple. But if you have it home and away for all playoffs, with the exception of, maybe the championship, if you wanted to kind of have that as a one game, kind of like what they do in Champions League. But to me, also MLS is now discussing in 2026 to switch to the European calendar, which would be interesting. If they did that, it wouldn't shock me that if you had a Liga MX versus MLS winner final, kind of as a Super Cup type thing for that here, wouldn't shock me if you had one of those. Jonathan shaking his head no.
Don't you dare put that idea in their heads. They already have it. I'm sure.
Well, Jonathan, they've been thinking of merging together.
I know. Don't give them ideas. Don't give them any ideas. I mean, MLS is going to do MLS stupid things. Just, I wouldn't
It's
worry
not like
about
the
it.
League Cups. That's stupid when in the middle of the season, and then also in the start of the season for Liga MX is like the most dumbest thing they can do. Now if they go to if they start the FIFA calendar, maybe could you pull it off? Yeah, but it's going to be too many games because you still got your CONCACAF games, and this is just getting ridiculous. I mean, for me personally, I'd rather have Liga MX and MLS play in Copa Libertadores or the South American Cup, one of those two. I think that'd be better suited for overall because that's where really the money's at. I mean, imagine having Boca Juniors or Independiente come over here for a game. That's a sellout.
Or just a rerun of what happened over in freaking Tampa Bay.
So, and then the final thing here before we get out, CONCACAF Nations League, United States, Jamaica, two-legged, and Honduras, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Thursday, U.S. plays at Jamaica at the first game, and then Costa Rica, Panama. And then Friday, the doubleheader is what's that? Who plays Canada? Suriname versus Canada, and then Mexico gets
Honduras.
Honduras,
Mexico and Honduras.
Then they play the flip side on like a
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, quarterfinals. So the Thursday, Friday, and then they turn around Monday, Tuesday. In the quarterfinals here. U.S. traveling to Jamaica under Pochettino. I'm glad that they're getting away from the United States even for one game for that here, and then they come back and play at St. Louis City Park. For Mexico, your thoughts playing Honduras? Because historically, those are pretty tough matches, right?
Yeah.
I think Mexico's typically wins, but as a neutral, they're fun fans to watch because, they do CONCACAF stuff where, it gets a little friendly, we'll just say.
It's always a tough game down there in Honduras. It's not a gimme game. So if they can come out with some points, they'll be fine. Like I said, I think the Azteca's already ready. So that I think they'll be on the second leg.
No,
should be.
It says Estadio Nemiso Diaz.
Oh, so they're not playing at the Azteca, which is weird because Club America just played a game there.
What's Estadio?
I wonder that's in Puebla.
Yes. Tocula.
Toluca.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're playing at the Bombonera. Yeah, that's an intimidating stadium. Believe it or not, it's always rough to play there. It's kind of like similar to like the Boca Junior Stadium. It's intimidating. So it should be a good game on that. I know the Canada's Suriname game. They're gonna have the UIO goal, mercy goal for that mercy rule on that game. the eight goal mercy rule.
Any thoughts on it, either Jonathan or Matt, as far as on this international break? I don't know, Jonathan, if you're a U.S. fan, if Royce was here, he'd be able to go into the depth chart and what he expects. I'm not that far into that. Matt's the drummer for American Outlaw for that here. So come on, give us your spiel here, Matt.
I mean, I can care less on the outcome right now. I mean, it's all about when FIFA comes around. I mean, if USA pulls out their win against, well, I mean, you would think they would, but you never know.
No, Jamaica always gives them trouble.
You never know too. So I mean, it'd be cool to see a couple of victories with the guys, and then of course Mexico. I mean, obviously I want them to win. Hopefully, see what kind of lineup they come out with, because I think they got, who did they get? They got Raul. No, they didn't get Raul.
Quinones is back. He's back. He's been turning it up in Saudi Arabia.
And I think he's going to be with Chucky Lozano too. So
no, I think Chucky didn't get picked.
I thought he got picked.
I don't think he got picked up.
But it'd be interesting. It'd be a little fun.
This one, Aguirre is gonna, like I said, he's all goes reshaping everything, and eventually it's going to be the baton's going to be passed to Rafa Marquez. Rafa Marquez is going to be your World Cup coach, not in 2026, but the one in 2030. So it's basically he's just trying to shape get him, set up for that. But like I said, they have to find an identity, find the players, but it's still a mess because they still, Liga MX needs to start sending the players to Europe. That's you want to get out of this funk, then start selling your players over there.
So final thoughts. We'll start with you, Jonathan Check. Any final thoughts that you have from the great desk of Mr. Check?
Well, first of all, I guess I never really said what I was thinking about this international break.
Sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Matt hogged your time.
I mean,
go ahead, man.
No. It's fine. I mean, I'll try and be quick. Didn't we just have the finals of the Nations League like 6 months ago? We're already doing this again. I'm still not. The Nations League just doesn't feel right to me, at least for these teams that like are going to go deep into qualification and stuff and can set up good friendlies. The Nations League just doesn't feel right to me. And again, if we're 6 months
and that
on,
goes
are
for
we starting
Europe too,
another
right?
cycle? Pretty much.
I can't get
yeah.
into the Europe one either.
Yeah, it's just weird. So anyway, and then as for the US, ever since really like after they kind of failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, it's just felt like things weren't quite being managed well at multiple levels. Maybe bringing Pochettino in is a step in the right direction. You know, they're bringing in a one of the best coaches in the world, so that's positive in one sense, but that's only one of the areas where they needed to improve. So hopefully it's a sign of continued improvement and learning from some of their lessons, though. So that's what I'd say about the international break. And as far as anything else, I think we've already said plenty tonight. We've talked about a number of topics. We've strayed away from the SAFC Fancast, usual repertoire. So I think we've already, or at least I feel like I've already said enough. So I'm out.
Matt?
I mean, like I said, it is what it is kind of season. So let's just hopefully next season it comes out better. We get a coach sooner, and hopefully we get a little bit more impact for the SGs. Just to throw out there a little plug for both of them. Go check out the Crocketeers at Freetail. We're going to be watching the USA game there. And then, of course, American Outlaws will be out at the Cottage. So do what you will on Thursday. And then me
So
and
Matt
Rafa
will be out at the Cottage is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'll probably be there. Most likely. And then I think me and Rafa are going to Ojos Locos on the south side. I don't know yet.
Will Rafa be back in town at that point?
Should be back Friday. Just my final thought. Yeah, my final thought. I just want to say, like I said, just a thank you to Coach Marcina. Like I said, great 5-year run. Good luck to him in his next adventure stop. Maybe it's somewhere in Kentucky. We don't know yet, but just good luck to him and his family. Safe travels, and thank you very much. And also, swinging on the high school season, ready to go. Like I said, congrats to my buddy, my old Club America coaching buddy, Bart Valerio, got his first win at Central Catholic. So congrats to him, since I was the only one there covering the game. And, it's great to see the swing of the high school action.
Your BFF wasn't out there?
I don't know what BFF is. She's I think she was out of town, I think. But it was great. It was great. It was great to see, like I said, some high school in action, and hopefully we'll get I'm still working on that little special thing, and hopefully we can announce that pretty soon in the next few weeks. But looking forward to, like I said, I know Matt's going to come out to some of the games. We're going to cover a lot of things, and it's going to be interesting now the new rule changes with that mercy rule, and I'm sure Coach Kyle is having a feel enjoying having that topic tonight. So shout out to him too. So we'll hope see you guys soon there on the Roundtable show.
So my final thought with the Veterans Day, happy Veterans Day to everybody. I know Rafa posted recently, I think it was your dad's birthday recently. Yep. So
U.S. Air Force.
So thoughts and prayers to your dad, my dad, along those lines. They're in a better place for that here. So if you're a veteran, thank you for your service. My other final thought is recently coming back from a away trip with AJ and some of his friends and going through New Braunfels. Somebody tried crossing 35 and didn't make it. So unfortunately driving by, something that you don't ever want to see, but just with life, obviously Veterans Day, one aspect, but we all know that other people, don't wake up tomorrow morning. So just make sure if you got loved ones, make sure you tell them you love them support them as the best of your ability, because tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. Like I said here, thank you to Rafa, Matt, Jonathan, Royce, even Robert. Although, where have you been, Robert? Shining your participation trophy, I guess. I don't know for that here. Matt, I still hate your Chiefs. Broncos did everything they could, and the freaking Chiefs blocked the field goal.
Hey, number one MVP. His first name is Ref. The last name is Ari.
No, it was a valid kick here. Block of the just for the Broncos. Like I said here, you can see the improvement.
But Mahomes got a lot of heat for what he said. That hot mic. That was the crazy part.
Oh, yeah, he got that from Messi.
Hey, protect me, rough. But no, to be fair, that happens. Aaron Rodgers does that, and the elite QBs get those calls for that here. But just like I said here, thank you to all the veterans, both current and past. And like I said here, just make sure you love both the humans and I don't know if you're a college football fan, but was it Kurt Herdstreep? I think it was that lost his dog for that here recently. So like I said here, just unfortunately, it's been one of those weeks. And with today, where we respect and honor and gratitude veterans, let's not forget about those that also impact us on a daily basis as well. But we're gonna be out of here. I would like to say we'll be back in 2 weeks because I can't do it next. Well, maybe could do it next week if Royce's availability. But I'm making no promises. We do have some end of year stuff to get to. Jonathan's got to dig through his records to see how correct I was on all my predictions for that here, because I'm sure I was the one that had all the
wrong, very wrong.
But it'll be interesting to see who is smarter, me or Matt. And like I said here, I think that would be an interesting to see how it is. But what's life without goals? We're out of here, and enjoy the song "Forever Loyal" by the Smart Boys as we head out.